Welcome everybody to our Deadpool spoiler talk. We're going to be talking about all of Deadpool. We just saw it about an hour ago. It's so good.
All spoilers. Do not watch this if you haven't seen the movie. Unless you
Absolutely.
don't care, in which case we love your support. Subscribe, please. Yeah, so...
let's bring up our topics. First off, let's talk about Ryan Reynolds' performance.
Oh my gosh. Guys, best actor 2016. I'm calling it.
Yeah.
If they don't even...
We have Hugh Jackman has to always be Wolverine. Robert Downey Jr. always has to be Iron Man. And now Ryan Reynolds must always be Deadpool.
Every time.
These three, they just have to.
I mean, if you were kind of put off by the X-Men Origins Wolverine, this is the exact opposite of that.
Don't even worry about that.
Maybe we should tape his mouth shut. You
don't want to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I loved it. Loved it a lot. Not as much as I thought I would, which is
really
like a weird thing to say. Because I don't know, like
I almost like played it down in my head. I'm like, it looks like it's too good, so I'm gonna
right. See,
I think it is gonna. So I was pleasantly surprised.
I was able to do that with The Force Awakens, but with this one, like I was just all the reviews I was reading in. It's like it's the most faithful comic adaptation ever. It's fucking awesome and hilarious, and yeah, it was really, really fucking good. So good, but it wasn't as good as I was hoping it would be.
Really?
With like minor quabbles, like the story was a little bit flat, but I love the way that they told it. Like through all those flashbacks, like
and it's almost one of those like Deadpool's such an out there character that like just how much he's out there, it almost makes it you almost expect a really crappy story so that he can almost make fun of it.
Yeah. Which they do constantly.
Definitely.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, like half the movie is just that one fight scene that you see in the trailer with just flashbacks thrown in there.
Yeah. I thought that was really interesting flashback storytelling.
It was really nice. I liked it.
Yeah. Because otherwise, if they would have just straight up done that origin story in the beginning, the first half of the movie would have been really boring. Really,
even though they did do that, but they did it in an interesting way, which made it workable in the plot. Yeah, I love the chemistry. Not just Ryan Reynolds, but like everybody in this movie worked so well together.
Yeah.
With Morena Baccarin, I hope I'm saying that name right, as, I forget, Vanessa, but isn't she supposed to be a mutant?
I think she's someone. You should make sure you stay
in the frame. I'm not a ghost. Maybe we should rotate it. All right, we'll be fine.
That's good.
But yeah, when they announced her, they were like, oh, she's this shape-shifting mutant, and she didn't end up being that in the movie. Obviously, you've seen it, but she was.
I was curious to see at the end when he has her in the suffocation chamber. Right. I wondered if he had given her the serum or whatever, and that she was going to mutate.
Right. Maybe they'll pull that in the sequel. Maybe with Keira Knightley as Cable.
Yeah, let's real quick since you brought it up the end credit sequence.
Fucking brilliant! Oh my god.
So.
Wow. It's fucking awesome.
That great reference to Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Straight up Buellered it. Oh my god.
Comes out in the same, like, was it the same? It was probably a different colored robe, but
he was still like in a bathrobe in a hallway. What are you doing here? The movie's over.
The movie's over. Go home.
Oh, you're hoping for a teaser for the sequel. Well, we don't have that much money. Heavily a comedy. Which was also something that I should have expected, but for some reason I didn't.
What were you expecting then?
I don't know what I was expecting, because it's just we're in this world with all these Marvel movies, and they're like building toward the universe. And in one of the trailers, you saw the X-Mansion, which makes 2 appearances in the movie. And I
didn't remember seeing that in the trailer.
It was one of the TV spots later in the term.
Yeah.
But you saw that, and so I was like, oh, they're going to universe build a bit. And then they didn't, and I was like totally cool with that.
Yeah, I love when he's talking to him like, oh, it's big house. I only speak to the 2 of you. It's almost like they couldn't afford the other X-Men.
Just one more X-Men. Yeah,
Speaking of X-Men, when he references Professor Xavier.
Oh my gosh.
And says, which one?
Favorite quote of the movie. You must go speak to the professor. McAvoy or Stewart? Favorite line of the movie.
So that brings us to fourth wall breaks. They were all over the place. And at one point, during a flashback, a fourth wall break, he breaks the fourth wall and he says, a fourth wall break within a fourth wall? Bro? It's like 16 wall breaks.
Dude. Oh my gosh.
It's so faithful to the comics. Deadpool is constantly talking about how he's in the comic book and in the video game. He knows he's in a video game.
Right. I thought And again, I don't know why. They did have a lot of like referencing the studio execs and stuff, but based on the some of the promotional material they did, I expected it to be more heavy. Mm-hmm. And again, totally cool that it's not. It worked well with the story, but again,
yeah.
For some reason, I thought that would be there.
Yeah, and at one point several times they reference Green Lantern and the Abomination Deadpool in X-Men Origins.
Not a cross between the two Marvel characters, just the horribleness that was that version of Deadpool.
yeah.
I mean, I guess it was a cross between the two, because, like, he is a government experiment, but they turned it into, like, we're going to give you every superpower.
Yeah. But yeah, they mention, I'm sure you've all seen in the trailers where he says, don't make the suit green or animated. And then at some point early on, when he was like looking in someone's wallet, there was like a Green Lantern
in the opening credits.
Yeah,
which was brilliant, by the way.
That opening credits,
directed by some overpaid tool. They was
starring this hot guy, and it
really,
chose the People magazine of Ryan Reynolds.
It was so good because it's just like this slow motion going through the car tipping over that you see like 5 minutes later, and there's just a wallet flying around with a weird like Green Lantern card in it. Of just some weird costume where it's like a black dude with just a green mask.
It was definitely rated R, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's not just the F-bomb here and there, but swearing constantly, lots of nudity.
Well, I mean, the nudity was just the one point later on when they're in the strip club with the Stanley cameo.
Right.
Other than that, there was
the sex scene early on. That was a good montage, though.
That was a good montage.
There was all the holidays.
And all the sex.
Yeah.
Lots. I liked the sex. But yeah, even then, like, they didn't show, like, nudity. Like,
right.
No nipples, whatever. Get it with the times. Look at Europe. Learn. Anyways.
It was good when Colossus and...
Negasonic Teenage
No.
Warhead.
What was the evil chick's
Angel
name?
Dust.
Angel Dust. When they're fighting, and at one point he walks over to like pound her in the face, and like her boob fell out. He's like, "Oh no, put that away."
Oh, you're so nice.
Nails him in the crotch.
Right in the nads. Steel-plated nuts.
What does he say in the cab? Like, "Oh, my steel penis friend back there."
My friend back there with the steel penis. Wait, who's the sparkly guy?
Oh, that taxi driver. He was really good.
Big highlight of the movie. Like,
I thought it was just going to be the one scene where like he gets his crotch in the camera.
Yeah.
But
shows up like 3 times.
Yeah.
And it's always hilarious.
Yeah. when he's talking to him about his girlfriend or the girl
woman.
The woman, and he's Deadpool is like encouraging him to go after the girl.
Yeah.
And he has the girl's boyfriend in the trunk of the taxi.
What was that noise, Depinder? Oh, that was... What was his name? Badur or something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
Who is that? It's my
romantic rival.
My romantic rival. I was only doing what you told me to do, and you left my classes. I did not tell him to do that. I'm so proud of you right now.
You should let him free. Kill him.
And go and win her heart. Kidnap her. Oh, man. It's so great. So amazing. I really hope that he isn't... It's not just like, this is the Deadpool world. I really hope they branch him into the other X-Men films.
Yeah, I really want to see Deadpool pop up in X-Men Apocalypse and the Wolverine movie.
I don't know if they'll be the Wolverine movie. I think Hugh Jackman's going for a more Old Man Logan vibe with that movie.
I mean... That's the thing, like, they would try and go more serious, but Deadpool doesn't give a fuck. He'll just show up.
Deadpool doesn't give a fuck, but then again, like, you know, I don't know if he'd be like...
I don't know.
Let's, shoehorn
this movie has broken a lot of the thoughts where I'm like, nah, they'd never do that. I'm like, wow, all right, maybe they will.
Yeah, I mean, this movie was made on a prayer and $5 and change, but
yeah,
it's awesome. And I think this, like, breaking, like 135 million opening weekend? Nobody thought it was going to do that.
No.
Everybody thought Schnepp was crazy for, like, it'll do 100 million, and it blew that out of the water.
Yeah.
John Schnepp, by the way, go watch Collider. They're cool.
It's crazy, especially since it's a rated R movie, so a lot of kids aren't supposed to be seeing it, even though tons of them are.
Yeah. Talking to you.
Don't bring your kids to this. This is definitely a rated R movie, big time.
Don't. I know people who did. You know who you are. Don't.
So, do you want to rank this anywhere in your top 10, top 5 superhero movies?
Let me think about that. 'Cause
I've been thinking about it, but
in recent years, it went from me loving, the first Iron Man and the Avengers to like my top 3 movies were Winter Soldier, Guardians of the Galaxy, Ant-Man. I think it takes 4th place up there, so it's in my top 5. It was really entertaining.
I would have Winter Soldier, Iron Man, the original Iron Man, Guardians of the Galaxy, Deadpool. Not in this particular order.
Right.
I'm just
right.
I gotta give a shout out to Kick-Ass. I know it's not.
Cool. I don't really throw it in. I mean, I guess you.
I don't know.
If we're counting Deadpool as the hard R superhero movie, I guess we can count Kick-Ass.
Yeah.
To me, Kick-Ass is like an entirely different.
It is definitely, but I love it. Going on a tangent here, but I love in Kick-Ass when he first is going out to fight crime.
Right.
Like, oh yeah, this is heroic moment, and just gets the shit kicked out of him, stabbed and hit by a car.
And then coincidentally earns the same superpowers as our villain from this movie.
Exactly,
I cannot feel pain.
No, you can definitely feel pain.
Well, I thought in Kick-Ass he got beaten so
No,
much
I thought you were talking about
pain.
Deadpool. Deadpool can feel pain.
No,
lots of pain.
The British,
Kick-Ass.
the evil bad guy villain.
Oh yeah, he couldn't feel pain, yeah.
A British villain. Yeah, he couldn't feel pain. But yeah, that was Kick-Ass's thing. That was what I was referencing. Sorry, my words are jumbled.
One thing I noticed, just a tiny little negative, and I think I've started noticing this in a lot of movies, is that anyone with superpowers seems to have, to a small degree, super strength.
Right.
There were a few times where someone would, like when Deadpool would throw someone, and they would go a little further than you would expect.
Yeah.
I thought you could regenerate health, not have super strength.
See, to me, it didn't bother me as much in this movie because they had that fight with Colossus where he just broke all of his limbs trying to punch him, and that going, mirrored by him, Colossus fighting Angel Dust, who kicked the shit out of him.
Right.
Like that entire fight.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought that was an easy thing. But yeah, I kind of just chalked it up to be he was ripped before, he's super strong.
Yeah.
Not super strong, but he was.
Yeah.
He's a mercenary. He's probably got some stuff. Plus, he's Deadpool. Who the fuck cares? That's not why we watched this movie.
I just remember this for the first time since I saw the movie. When they're trying to come up with his name, and he thinks of Captain Deadpool.
Captain Deadpool.
No, just Deadpool.
What was? Fuck. What did Weasel come up with before that? It was
Not Dying Man or something.
Not Dying Man.
It was something like that. It was
stupid.
terrible.
Great. I love the chemistry between the entire cast. I know I brought that up before, with specifically Marina Baccarin, but with T.J. Miller's Weasel and I don't know the guy who plays Colossus or Negasonic, but those two, everybody just gelled so well together.
Yeah, definitely.
Really, really well. Some of the best I've seen in a while. And the love story totally didn't feel like it was hampering down the movie.
No,
in fact,
not at all.
They say it's a love story. It really is, like a Nicholas Sparks crossed with some weird fucked up shit.
Yeah, I was thinking at the end, no, they can't. They're not gonna have a happy ending. Oh wow, they actually did it, and it worked. Ending. It worked.
Yeah. Although I wonder if they're eventually going to bring in Death as
probably. I think they will.
That'd be interesting.
And that would, but they're not going to cross over with the Marvel universe because they got Thanos is also in the comics trying to impress Death.
You know what? I would really, really I would start thinking about these companies differently if they had a moment in Infinity War where Deadpool popped up and was in the background dancing with Death.
Yeah.
In Thanos' lair. That would be super cool.
Yeah.
Never gonna happen, but
no.
And then again, I said they would never.
I don't know,
Spider-Man
but
back.
I don't think it's gonna happen. Went from 100% not gonna happen to a good 80% probably not, but wouldn't totally blow my mind if they did.
It would,
even though it totally would blow my mind.
It totally would blow my mind. I would be like, holy shit! And I shook the camera. I probably shouldn't do that anymore.
But there was one part when they're out in the rain. I thought at one point he was gonna using rope or something hang down and do the Spider-Man kiss.
I didn't think about that until you get to the credits and there's the little animated Deadpool and he does the thing and I was like, oh shit, they totally could have done that.
Yeah.
And then he jerks off a unicorn and it ejaculates rainbows and shits money. Because that's what this kind of movie is.
Yeah.
That's the kind of movie this is.
I think it stands in its own genre. There are other.
It's
no, but there are other. Well, yeah, definitely. But there's obviously other comic book movies, romance, fourth wall breaking. But I don't know that any have like gelled them all together quite like this.
Right. I see what you're saying. It's kind of like the whole Star Wars sci-fi fantasy thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, it was super awesome. We've been going for 20 minutes, and I already feel like we've been talking for like an hour.
Yeah.
I've said a lot of things that I want to say. There's not many negatives I can say about the film, other than the thin plot, but that doesn't really matter with a movie like this. Just like Pacific Rim, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Razor thin
you don't
plot.
go to these movies for the story.
Yeah, that's not why you're there. I feel like we should be talking longer about this.
I know. Do we want to wrap up just final thoughts?
Yeah, I guess.
On a 100 scale, what do you want to give it?
I'd give it 90. Solid 90.
Ooh, I'm torn between 90, 95, so I'm going to go 90.
93.
93, yeah.
I don't want to call it for you, never mind.
Yeah. No, that's
I don't know.
That's good.
It's weird. Like, I don't know. A lot of the... I really feel like we should talk about this longer.
Well, what you were talking about earlier was it kind of didn't quite meet your expectations because it was kind of overhyped with the reviews and stuff.
And the marketing campaign, which is brilliant, by the way.
Brilliant. Probably one of the best marketing campaigns I've ever seen.
It's the best marketing campaign in existence. Like, I thought it was going to be so hard to beat the Star Wars marketing campaign because it was so brilliantly done, and like they knew exactly how to play us with those movies. And then Deadpool comes out and it's just fucking all over the place.
Yeah, and I think they really let Ryan Reynolds loose with the social media stuff.
Definitely.
There were several things where I'm like, nah, there's no way Fox approved that. They must have just given him the okay early on.
I'm thinking they maybe didn't give him permission, and he's just
like, I'm Deadpool, I'll do what I want.
I mean, he stole the suit off set, and he was giving an interview on one of the late night shows, and he was like, that test footage leaked, and it's one of us definitely did it. There were only like 4 of us who knew about it.
Yeah, definitely. But you were talking about how it didn't quite meet your expectations.
Yeah.
But it surpassed mine because it was one of those where you look at it in the trailers and you want for so long for comic book movies to be faithful and a good adaptation from the comic books. And I was like, it looks like it's going to be perfect, but there's no way it can be. We've been let down before countless times with good trailers and terrible movies. But so I was concerned, and then the reviews came in all super positive. So I let myself have it a little bit more like, okay, maybe this is going to be as good as I hope, and it surpassed it because I think, like I said, I lowered my expectations a little.
I should have done that,
and then just blew me out of the water.
Yeah. I don't know. I kind of feel like I feel about this movie the way I feel about the Deadpool character, in the comics and stuff. Like, I really like his character, but he's not, by no means is he my favorite comic book character.
Right.
Like, there's so many amazing characters. But he's, a nice, refreshing take on.
Yeah, definitely. Refreshing is
a
great thing for this. I think I remember. Didn't it reference Marvel movie? Oh yeah, it was either he mentions at one point it's either an origin story or a
team up of some
big
sort.
Team up
movie.
Yeah, I thought that was a good line.
Movie. I really liked. I was hoping that they would do the second voice in Deadpool's head, which they didn't. But they
toyed with it a little.
Yeah, when they would slow it down, and it's like, did I leave the stove on?
Well, they did that, but then at one point, when was it? It was early on when he got his powers, and he was... I think it was when he was trying to talk to his girlfriend, following her in the street, and, he was kind of doing that little, twitchy thing, almost hearing voices. Yeah. I think they were toying with it a little.
Yeah. And then there was the point where, if you've seen, an adaptation of Deadpool in, an animated form, the secondary voice is always him, but deeper. Right. And they did that when he was fighting in the car, and he's like, "Have you seen this man?" And I was like, "They're doing it."
But and it's also in the comic books, you can always tell when it's a different voice because they have totally different text boxes. Yeah. Whereas in this, it's not as distinct. And in the video game, they still had the text boxes, so you could still tell.
How do we not bring? They introduced Bob. Bob is now a character in this universe.
I totally missed that.
Yeah, I did not expect that at all.
No, I mean, I missed the reference.
Oh, Bob is the Let me see if I can find a picture of him. But he's like Deadpool's sidekick. He wears a green suit similar to Deadpool.
Huh. Oh, the Hydra guy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking
Bob.
about. I was
like, that was straight out of left field. They was like in the middle of like murdering all these dudes, and then he stops and like, why did he stop? And he's like,
because that came up in the movie, and you were laughing your ass off, and I was like, fuck, I can't think of what this is. Bob. And he's in the comic books. He's like a Hydra agent or ex-Hydra agent, whatever.
You know, he's like Deadpool's sidekick occasionally when there's not Deadpool Corps or X-Force or anything like that. That was really cool. That was one of my big highlights. And the other was Negasonic's outfit. I thought was really cool.
Yeah, when she burned off the normal clothes, and it was the classic like yellow and black.
Well, actually, I don't know what her classic outfits looks like because I'm not familiar with the character.
It's like the classic
I kind of
outfits
assume
of the X-Men.
Yeah, definitely. Which is another reason I'm concerned that they're not going to tie into the rest of the universe because nobody's X-Men suit looks like that ever.
Yeah.
In any of the X-Men movies. Not to complain, their suits.
But they're like kind of working back to that now since they reset everything.
Sort of. I mean, the Apocalypse outfits are still like the black leather stuff all the time.
Kind of a sidebar. Do you think that?
I mean, there's only two of us.
With the X-Men movies going forward.
Should I not hear this?
With the X-Men movies going forward, do you think that, because the First Class was in the 60s, and then Days of Future Past in the 70s, and Apocalypse is going to be in the 80s, do you think when they catch up to the 2000s, they're going to redo the storylines that they did in the original X-Men movies?
Well, I remember I read an interview where Bryan Singer was, or maybe not Bryan Singer, but somebody else close to the movie, maybe one of the producers, was talking about how they could go back and revisit some of these storylines. It's interesting
because then it kind of gives them the opportunity to do a reboot like a Spider-Man would do over and over again.
Every single
year. But
it
doesn't like force it. I think that's why Days of Future Past was really great. It still kept things going, but also kind of let them reboot, where it's an interesting thing, like going back and doing like a super origin story, and then working back, and then once you get to the present stuff, then it's basically a reboot.
I'm concerned about them getting to the present stuff because even in the Days of Future Past era, Patrick Stewart is still the older Xavier, and
they are. Like, they're moving too fast. They need to do like a couple movies in the 80s, a few in the 90s.
I don't know if we need a couple in each era, but they need to be more spread apart.
Yeah.
I think we need to give time for us to, used to not seeing Patrick Stewart all the time.
But money, they're never going to slow down.
They're doing Gambit, and they've announced Deadpool 2, so I think that can be their moneymakers for a while. But I would like to see an aged McAvoy, because I love McAvoy as Xavier. I don't know who I would say the superior Xavier is, but I really love what he did with the character, and I want to see him move forward into the future. But then you get into that, in Days of Future Past, there was that one scene where Wolverine wakes up and everything is hunky-dory, and again, somebody addressed that as like that's the ideal future that he's waking up in, but that's not technically the future that's going to happen.
That's true.
Which I thought was an interesting thought because that never occurred to me because like he wakes up and like
the parallel universes type of thing.
Exactly.
So you brought up Gambit. How do you think that's going to be now that we've seen what Deadpool can be?
I think
it gave me a lot more hope.
If they cut its budget, it gives me hope. Because right now they have $150 million on Gambit, which is not at all necessary.
No.
And they only gave Deadpool, like, pocket change.
Yeah.
And so if they announce that they're delaying it and they're cutting the budget and they're reworking it, then I will be happy about it. But right now, if they hit... it's supposed to come out this year, right? In August.
Is it really?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, that...
Yeah, I don't know. I'm very, very worried. I love the character Gambit. Like, I was a big fan of the
and I didn't hate Taylor Kitsch as Gambit, but obviously we got...
in an awful movie. Again, I didn't hate Ryan Reynolds.
Channing Tatum now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought, like, Ryan Reynolds in X-Men Origins, when he was still Wade Wilson, was really good.
Yeah, and then they, sewed his mouth shut, and probably wasn't even him the rest of that movie.
No.
But it was... I'm very concerned because Gambit was one of my favorite characters. Like I was growing up watching the animated series from I think it was debuted in the 80s, but they did reruns in the 90s. And Gambit was hands down my favorite character next to Jubilee, who was also happening. Yeah, finally we're getting Jubilee. I love Jubilee so much.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think the high budget is concerning. If it's coming out this year, that's a little concerning.
Yep.
But Deadpool definitely gave me like, okay, maybe they can.
Here's my thing: is like they fucked up Fantastic Four. tremendously. Like, that's a legendary fuck up, and yet they somehow handled Deadpool with
that's especially weird because like it seems like from most sources and people talking about it that the biggest reason that Fantastic Four was terrible again was because Fox was interfering with the director, and that seems like the opposite studio from the Deadpool studio. They seem to have just let the team do whatever they wanted. So it's interesting that 20th Century Fox kind of seems to have hit both ends. They've controlled everything and made it terrible, and they've let loose and let things be awesome. So it's interesting. I don't know. Which is where they're going to go now.
This is why I'm super concerned about Gambit. I'm like, which way is it going to go?
Yeah. Are they going to which 20th Century Fox are we going to see this time?
Maybe they just have like every month they just hire somebody new.
Yeah, maybe
we need time to re-vote the president. We just did that last week, guys. Come on.
Yeah, it's interesting because I mean, all studios have their hits and misses, but to have like such extremes as far as like having control.
Yeah. It's weird. Episode 1 was as bad as episode 1 is, talking about Star Wars now for a second, and then if episode 2 in like another weird universe was the most amazing thing ever. Like Force Awakens good.
Yeah.
Like it'd be like crazy. The weirdest fucking thing.
Yeah.
So we have that now. We have probably one of the 2 most niche X-Men characters I can think of. I guess Negasonic is probably more niche than Gambit is. And Jubilee, but like these weird offshoot characters that not a lot of people know about. You have Deadpool, who is fucking awesome, and I really hope that Gambit is good.
Yeah,
but I just don't know.
Yeah,
I like Channing Tatum enough. He's done some good work.
I like his comedy. If he brings the comedy to the role, I think that'll be good.
I mean, yeah, I'm more concerned about the accent and how they're gonna they're gonna have his weird Bayou accent or not. I think they probably shouldn't, because I don't know if Tatum can pull it off. I think they should just let it, it's not. I mean, it's not that important to who he is as a character.
So I like how we'll wait and see.
Spoiler cast has turned into a conversation about the X-Men universe as a whole.
So we'll see how Gambit is, and so will you.
Signing off now, I suppose.
You're still here? What are you doing here? The podcast is over. Go home. Get out of here. Go home.
Get out!